Hi there, this is Penelope. This video is the final video in a series of short videos on trigonometry in the last class of trigonometry. And this one, some of you will find this question when you do trigonometry 3 on my math lab. It'll probably have different numbers, but it'd be the same question. Now, what you have to look at here is that this question is asking you not to write it in the form of r sine something or other, but in the form of r cos something. And that's the big thing that you need to do. You need to read the question carefully. So we need to rewrite it in the form r cos 6t plus alpha, and then we need to find the first value of t that solves where that is equal to 4. So the first thing we need to do is to find r, and r is just using the formula. And don't forget it's negative 4 squared, like that. And alpha is tan inverse. Now this is not the one we do in class, it's not the one in the formula sheet, but it is in the textbook, and it's in the previous example as well. So alpha is inverse tan of negative a over b, which in this case is negative 3 over negative 4, and that of course simplifies to 3 over 4. But because this is tan is equal to sine over cos, then you have a positive tan, a negative sine, and a negative cos. And all of those tell you that we're working in quadrant 3. So the answer that you get in your calculator won't be the right one because it will need to be in quadrant 3. So using your calculator, you would get, just using your calculator, but to be in quadrant 3, it needs to be pi, I was going to say 180, it needs to be pi plus that. So it was here, but it actually needs to be in this one here. This is the correct one. And we can work that out, that's 3.78. Now, we can rewrite y, or our function, as y equals 5 cos 6t plus alpha, and the appropriate alpha is what we've just found. The question now says solve that equals 4. So more space on the next slide. I do not know why we've got all those numbers there. Now they've gone. Okay. Right, just make some more space. Right, so what we've got to do now is we are solving 5 cos 6t plus 3.7851 equals 8. Immediately you can divide both sides by, by 4. By 5, so we've got cos 6t plus 3.7851 equals 4 over 5, which is 0.8. We can take inverse cos of each side. And then we get that 6t plus 3.7851 equals cos inverse 0.8. Now, mostly it's best to say let z, even at the previous stage, let z equal 6t plus 3.7851. So z equals cos inverse of that. Now there'll be lots and lots of answers because if we've got 0 is less than or equal to t, which is less than or equal to 2 pi, then z is going to be between 3.7851 and 6 times 2 pi plus 3.7851. So we can now say that z, just that's a bit of working in there, so therefore z equals, now I'm going to use my calculator set in radians to find inverse cos of 0.8, so z equals 0.6435. That one's not going to count because it's too small, or 5.6397, or adding 360 or 2 pi to the first one. Now, the question does ask us for the first one, so really we don't need to go any further. We would, but we don't need to. The first one that is in that range is the 5.63, so therefore z equals 5.6397, since we're finding the first. Get the paper under my calculator. Computer making a noise. Since we're finding the first value of t, good morning, Malcolm. Hi there, this is Penelope. This is a question that some of you might find in Trigonometry 3 in my math lab. You obviously won't find necessarily exactly that question, but you'll find probably a question like it. And it's a two-stage question. It's where you need to rearrange the original statement into a format and then solve that to find t or some other variable. Now you need to look very carefully at the question because, look at it, it asks you to write it in the form cos 6t plus alpha. Now the exam will ask you to write it in a form sine brackets something, but this question is cos, and it's useful skill to be able to do this. Now a calculator needs to be in radians, and okay, let's start. We first of all find r, being careful that you remember that negative 4 squared is fine, is positive, so the whole thing is 5. Alpha equals inverse tan of, now for cos something plus, it's negative a over b. In this case, it's tan inverse tan of negative 3 over negative 4, which makes it tan inverse of 3 over 4. Now, you just need to be careful. We need to think about what quadrant that is in. So, we've got a negative sign and a negative cos, because tan equals sine over cos. So this is negative, and this is positive. So we need to ask ourselves which quadrant has a negative sine, a negative cos, and a positive tan. And the answer is it's in quadrant 3. Now your calculator will find this one, but we need to actually find that one there. So use your calculator, and then alpha will equal, on your calculator, it comes up as 643, which is fine for quadrant 1, but we need it to be in quadrant 3, so we have to add pi to get it into quadrant 3. Like that. Okay, that means then that alpha is equal to 3.7851. Now our expression is rewritten. as 5 times cos 6t plus 3.7851. Question goes on to say we need to find the first value of t that satisfies the expression we've now got. So we can rewrite that 5 cos 6t plus 3.7851 is equal to 4. Okay, get rid of the 5. Oops. 4 over 5 is 0.8. And at that stage it makes it easy if we say let z equals 6t plus 3.7851, and then since it tells us that 0 is less than or equal to t, which is less than or equal to 2 pi, now we need to find what happens to z. So z will be between 3.7851. I might just write that as z because I'm going to run out of space, which would be less than 6 times 2 pi plus 3.7851. And that'll give us some big number. Now, in this question, we're only looking for the first value of t, so that's fine. We will just start off as though we're looking for more than that, but we're really only looking for the first one. Okay, so now we've got that z is going to be the cos inverse of, well, maybe I should go back a step. We've got the statement that says cos of z equals 0.8, taking the inverse cos of each side. So we have z equals cos inverse of 0.8. Now we need to use the calculator in radians. That one is wrong, it's too small. And that's the next one, because this is in quadrant 1 and this is in quadrant 4 to get positive, and then we can add 2 pi to the first one and it would give us 6.9, and adding 2 pi to the second one, etc. Okay, so I don't need to go on because we know the question asked us for the first one. If it didn't make such a specific choice for us, then we would have had to supply all the answers, but we're only looking for the first one. So the first one will be z equals 5.6397. So that's the one we need to choose. We found z though, but we need to remember that we said that z was equal to 6t plus 3.7851. So now we have to say, well, that's equal to 5.6397. So 6t equals 5.6397 minus 3.7851. So t will equal that. And if we use the calculator, and it depends how accurate the question is asking you to be as to how many decimal places that you use. Now, I've made the graph, I've done the graph on Desmos, and you can see there's the first time, the green line is 4, so that's y equals 4 is the green line, I think it's green, and the other one is y equals 5 cos 6t plus 3.7851. And where they're equal, you can see that t, the first time, it's t is equal to 0.309 seconds. Don't forget to use the unit. All done.